I think it was kind of my parents that taught me to play instruments, and I don't know why, but I felt the need to show them what I can do and kind of show them what they taught me. So they used to go to work, and over the course of the day, my brother and I would record music, which was a keyboard with like 16 tracks and floppy disks, and we would just make a song a day, and that kind of became a habit. And then when I was 12, I started playing drums in a band, which was probably the opposite of what my parents wanted. And I think when I was around 18, I started producing electronic music, and it started as a mix of trying to find out how to do something I didn't know how to do yet. And in my band, I always kind of did a little bit of electronic stuff on the side, like just little elements, synths. And then I heard the Justice album Cross, and those sounds were amazing and still are some of the best sounds in my opinion. So I did want to know how to make a snare like that or how to make a bass sound like that, so I just started experimenting. And the first song I did was kind of a ripoff of an existing electronic song. The European electronic music scene started way before it became a big thing in America, but America is really good at taking things and making them really big. So that's what they did with EDM. It exploded here and just became the biggest thing ever, to the point where it's much bigger than it is in Europe right now. Although there's countries like Germany where you will hear a lot of electronic music on the radio, and I think you heard it on the radio quite before it became big in America. I think in terms of like the concert or festival culture at the moment, although there's those, Tomorrowland and festivals like that that are some of the biggest festivals I think in the world, America currently has, countless EDM festivals, especially this year more than ever. So I think it's kind of about as big as a genre can be right now. There is a crossover between remixes and original music. When I heard remix for the first time, just the word, I would think you would take a record that exists and, remix it. You just make your mix of it. But really, remix is more of an interpretation of what the song is, to you as an artist. So when I started remixing songs, and I've started original compositions way before I had anything to do with remixes, to me it's always been like, this is what the song would be if that vocal sample or whatever I took from the song, to make the remix was my sample. If I had recorded that vocal, this is what my song would sound like. So it really, a remix became much more of an own song than just, a new mix of an existing song. So I think it was kind of a smooth transition where remixes, were not very relevant and everyone had one, up to the point where remixes are kind of a big thing and almost own songs, There's often don't have a whole lot to do with each other with the original song. Usually either I make a song, and then write the vocal and then get the vocalist, so the singer, or sometimes I will hear a voice, just a voice without a track or a song, and I love that voice or I love that top line, and then I make a song for it. So I write the music around the vocal. It can be either way, but I think the singer in my process is always the very last thing. For an example, take the scenario where I hear a vocal that I really like that someone wrote that doesn't have a song. Typically I would just loop that vocal and play the piano for an hour until I found the chord progression that I think fits the song the best. And then I record the MIDI, so I have it in my computer. I have all the chords written down, and then I start applying sounds. So I would probably start with a verse just because that's my favorite part of a song usually. I would start with a verse, then do somewhat of a semi-build-up, and then the drop is usually the last thing I take care of, or if there is a drop even. If not, it's the chorus. So when I produce music, I usually produce and mix, sometimes and master at the same time, so I will have a couple plugins on the mastering chain. So I kind of don't get surprised when I finish the song and then send it out to mastering engineer and suddenly it comes back totally squashed and the sub is wrong. So when you put stuff on the mastering chain, immediately when you produce them, you will pick different sounds and you will not be surprised in the end. Same goes for the mix. I never work with the attitude of I add a snare drum and then I know it doesn't sound good, but I'll fix it in the mix. I feel like fixing something in the mix is not what you should do nowadays in 2015. You should fix it while you're doing it. We should pick a different snare drum or a different kick drum or whatever's wrong. So I kind of do everything at the same time up until the song is fully produced, and then I try to find the right singer, and then, you know, ideally record the singer, and then produce the vocal, record some backing vocals, you know, comp the vocal, mix the vocal, and then I hand a USB key to the label and lay on the couch for a day or half a day. For a DJ show, I DJ on a Tractor. I have an S4, which is a controller that goes into a Pioneer DJM 900. Kind of like that because I only have one channel currently in the DJM 900, which allows me to, you know, put effects on the entire track. Or if I play two songs at the same time, I can apply a filter on both of them together. And within the Tractor S4, I can apply effects to each track individually. I find that kind of convenient because I kind of, you know, I can do both. You know, I have one knob that is the size of a loop or the amount I want to jump. So, you know, anywhere between, I mean, you know, let's say 2 beats or 32 beats. If I have a really long intro, let's say 1 minute intro, but I only have a 30 seconds outro, I can see that immediately. I just need 2 clicks and I'm right where it's supposed to be. It's on the grid. Nobody will ever hear it. It just allows me to either, you know, jump around, or if for whatever reason, you know, I pick this song and last second I decide that I want to play another song instead of that, I can always just jump back 32 bars and people won't notice it because it's very smooth. I think that's really the most important function for me. I usually get ideas, you know, just randomly at some point where I have an entire song in my head out of nowhere, and then I have to do that. You know, I have to get in the studio and hear it. I want to hear my idea. Or, you know, obviously you can just start playing and jamming and recording, and at some point you'll figure something out. But I think there's a certain need to feel an emotion that's in your head, and, you know, you have that vision. The only way to hear it is either to do it yourself, or someone else steals your idea and they do it, and then you can hear it too. The most important thing for me is my album that I've been working on for a really long time. It's my second album. And, you know, Clarity was my first album, so it was also kind of my first experience in making an electronic album. And, you know, I've faced all the challenges in making that, you know, especially because it takes a really long time, at least for me, to create an electronic song that sounds good and will still sound good by the time I release the album. So I kind of got the experience from the last album and really understood the importance of making music that lives forever and is not just based on those sounds. And then obviously I'll go on tour and, you know, hopefully play every possible city in the world and present my new live show that we're working on right now.